It's the Blues Rock Show with Pete Francis and Willie Witten.
Welcome to the Blues Rock Show. Pete Francis alongside Willie Witten. This is already our 7th episode, and we want to hear from you guys. What sort of topics do you want to hear us talk about on the show? Let us know down in the comments section below, and of course, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to get all the latest videos. Willie, today we're going to get things kicked off with Eric Gales, super underrated guitar player. And he's a name that comes up a lot when you're talking with great guitar players about who some of the greatest guitar players in the world are today. Eric Gales, his name comes up quite a bit. Why do you think he's so underrated?
I think he's underrated because I think he's multifaceted. And I think that you can't, the only thing that really is a position where you can put him into a box is that he's a great guitar player. If you look when he first came onto the scene, he was really young. We are talking back in the early 90s and completely different era. And I think it was Sign of the Storm was a big hit for him, a really big hit. And it got him a lot of traction. Just checking out that video the other day, they sort of have him, visually, slotted in as like a Hendrix reimagination with the headbands and everything. And then you look and he did some work at some point being out of Memphis with the 3-6 Mafia, who was an award-winning, hip hop rap group. And now you look at him now. Now he is a very versatile blues player, but even as such, he doesn't stick with the blues. He doesn't stick with rock. He doesn't stick anywhere. And I think that sometimes he's a victim of his own genius and that he does have that versatility. You take a look at some of his albums, his most recent one, The Bookends, which I loved. It was great, but it's not blues, but it's not rock, and it's not funk. It's all these different things. And you can see that he could take music just about anywhere. The way he was taught is unconventional. The way he thinks about music is unconventional. People love working with him. Sometimes,
for those who don't know, he plays left-handed and he's got the guitar upside down.
Yes, exactly. And that's the way his brothers taught him how to play. His brother, he comes from a musical family. So Pete, I think that what this is a symptom of is sometimes someone is so good that it can be difficult to help get it across in translation to the rest of us mere mortals. Maybe, Pete, what do you think? Is this maybe why?
So I don't feel that he's underrated in terms of the blues rock world and this sort of niche, but this is kind of a niche genre. And beyond that, Eric Gales is not a household name. Now, he's a phenomenal guitar player. I've had a chance to see him live in person, saw him at the Dallas International Guitar Festival. He was awesome. He blew everyone away. Just a fantastic guitar player. So recently, he just finished recording an album produced by Joe Bonamassa and Josh Smith. And I think what they're trying to accomplish with him is really push him as a songwriter as well, and not just be known as this phenomenal guitar player. He's got tons of viral videos on YouTube. He's covered Hendrix. He's got videos on YouTube with millions of views. But it's getting him beyond that guitar sort of box in that guitar world. How do they get him in front of those different eyeballs? Because I think people who have been exposed to him really enjoy his guitar playing and really enjoy his music.
Yes.
And I think with this album, recording it with Joe Bonamassa and Josh Smith, having them produce him and really push him and kind of take his songwriting to the next level. And I think having that sort of basis behind him and having someone like Joe Bonamassa push this album and push Eric Gales as an artist is really going to help him and really kind of expand his reach so more people hear his music.
I would agree with that. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Pete. There's no question about his guitar. There's no question about his musical ability. Everyone in the niche knows it. Having Smith and Bonamassa be the guys to help him out, I think they have, in a way, not as much as I'd like to see them, as far as I'd like to see them be even bigger names, Bonamassa and Smith. But I think they've started to bridge some of those gaps between the blues rock guitar world and the mainstream. So hopefully this helps, because Eric Gales Gales deserves this. And I think that with the right guidance, he will achieve it. I certainly hope so.
Yeah, and Bonamassa said he thinks this is going to be Eric Gale's best album. So let's hope so.
That's great.
All right. So in a previous episode, Willie, we talked about how vinyl had kind of been on the rise and CDs were kind of on the decline. Everything today pretty much is streaming. And with that, do you feel like music has become disposable?
I think that when we talk about a word as heavy as disposable, I think it fits in certain spots. I think we want to maybe differentiate between the way the individual perceives it and the way that we as a society perceives it, because I think they're very different. I don't believe that there's, Pete, you and I speak about music frequently, not just on this show, but frequently. And we certainly don't find it to be disposable. I know the musicians don't. And I got a very good feeling that most of the populace, in their heart of hearts, music is something that, speaks to them. It reminds them of things. It gets them excited, happy, aggressive, sad, all the emotions. I don't think that has become disposable, but I think that the way that we consume it and the way that we have it interact with our lives, not necessarily you or I or the individual, but all of us as a group, its importance has lessened. I find it so often, and it always has been at times, with you're out at a ball game or at a bar, what have you, it does sometimes fall into the background. But I find that music takes a place in the background more and more frequently on a yearly basis. I don't know if that's a good thing that it's more involved. You could say maybe, yeah, that's great because it's involved in our day-to-day life. But Pete, do you think it's really great if it's involved so much and so easily in our day-to-day life that it just falls by the wayside and it's something that we're not even paying attention to? I think as a society, we've let it become disposable, maybe a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely don't think music is disposable, but it's become less valued because of streaming and things like that. People just don't pay for music anymore, and
Right.
it has less of a value. The other difference is you're not going to the store every week to go look through racks of CDs where you actually physically see them.
Right.
Now everything is streaming, and a lot of it's controlled by some random computer algorithm. So that really changes things up a little bit. And I think the fact that you don't have that physical aspect, you're not going back to it as often as you would have beforehand.
Sure.
So, and I know you, Willie, had a massive CD collection,
I did.
and a lot of people had really big CD collections. And with streaming, it's just a different world now. And we're not physically seeing all these things. So I think that really changes it a lot. And again, I don't think it makes music disposable. I certainly don't think music is disposable, but
Right.
in general, society values it less because of that, and it's more readily accessible.
Right. It's a double-edged sword with convenience, as we found with a lot of technologies, not just music. It's sort of a side effect of that. And like you said, the visit to the record store, beyond going out and spending. So from a monetary aspect, yes, like you said, less valuable maybe is the better way of looking at this. It is less valuable just by definition. We don't spend as much money on it. But also, not going to the record store, yeah, that's record sales, but the people at the store.
It's also the experience.
Yes, when I used to go to the record store, you'd go to your local place, the owner, he or she is there. Maybe you chat with them.
Maybe they give you a tip.
Exactly. Someone else hears, they come join the conversation. And when you're doing something like that, it's at the focus of what you're doing. It's not a background thing. So maybe it's something that we think of now where we can't go to concerts, because concerts still are places where it's at the forefront. I don't know. Maybe it's just what's in the moment, but I think Pete, I think you hit certainly a good sort of idea around the idea less valuable. Maybe, I don't know, disposable might be too hard, but.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I also liked going to the record store and you would put on a pair of headphones.
Yes.
And they would have multiple different albums that you could kind of sample and go through. you just don't get that same sort of experience anymore.
No, you don't. You don't. You're right, Pete. Well, if you want to talk about experiences, because there's plenty of them now in the musical world, let me ask you what you think about this one, Pete. Have you ever been to a hologram concert?
I have not been to a hologram concert.
Would you go to a hologram concert? And what do you think about the hologram concerts?
So that's a good question. And obviously, this is kind of a concept that has come about in recent years. And I think it's more popular with musical acts who are now deceased. So I think that is an interesting concept when someone says you have a chance to see, this act who's been dead for 30, 40, 50 years live in person. I think that's kind of interesting. Now, am I going to shell out a bunch of money for that experience? Probably not. But I think if somebody said to me, hey, I've got free tickets or I've got tickets to go check this out, do you want to come with me? I'd say, yeah, I'll check that out. I think it would be an interesting experience. I've never been to a hologram show, so I guess I can't really judge it fully at this point. But for instance, if someone said, hey, you want to go check out this Hendrix hologram show, I might say yes. I think it would be interesting to check it out and kind of see what that experience would be like. What do you think, Willie?
I would say no interest at first. Same sort of way that you said. But you know what? If you asked me 2 or 3 years ago, would I have any interest in a live streaming show? I would have told you no interest as well. So I've changed my mind on that. So I'm in the same boat as you are, where I think I'm not running out to get the experience. I don't think it's all that great necessarily. Personally, also, it's not really a hologram, at least in the scientific definition. It's not three-dimensional. It's, what they do now is a more advanced way of projecting a mirrored reflection up through a screen. It's very cool, no doubt, but it can't go up or downstairs. I think that would bring an additional element to it. Maybe I'd want to see it if the performer could walk down the stairs or maybe go up in the balcony. I don't know, but I'm not thrilled by it. I feel that in a way I'd just as well listen to the music, because that's sort of really the only thing that's true about the hologram experience. I find it interesting because when we talk about live streaming concerts, it's really the exact opposite in a way. Whereas live streaming, you get the actual musicians performing their antics, their interaction with the band in real time, streamed to you, but you're by yourself. The hologram is almost the photo negative of that, where everything you're seeing is not real, but the experience part is. You're out with the crowd at the concert. So a lot of, I think, is the draw for the hologram experience is that the person who is in attendance gets to be out with the crowd.
Yeah. I think that would definitely add to it.
I mean,
what do you think about a hologram live stream show, Willie?
Okay, that's, you know what? Now not only am I not getting the real anything, now I'm sitting alone. But once again, I am done with saying that I won't go to a show, I won't see this or I won't see that, because...
So you think hologram live stream shows are disposable?
I would say that they are definitely disposable until we have a virtual pandemic in which even watching the live stream show won't be available, because then you can get sick from doing that. Then we will be reduced to hologram live stream shows, but those two will eventually become dispensable and disposable. Well, Pete, this is just the nature of music.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good place to end things, Willie. What do you guys think about the topics today? Leave your comments down in the comments section below. Hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. That really helps us out. But this has been the Blues Rock Show. I'm Pete Francis. He's Willie Witten. We'll see you next time.